Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators, and not just any independent group, and not just any group of independent creators, but independent creators from England, of all places, right? So I figured that's why we're on early today. It's 12:30 my time, but I believe it's 5:30 their time. Normally, I've tried to get some of these guys on my regular podcast. They can't make it. It's 2 in the morning for them, so I get it. It's a little late. So without further ado, let's bring in our co-host because Mr. Rosario can't make it today because it's a little early for me. He's busy. That guy, he's just always on the hunt, always working.
Hello, everybody. This is Mark Torres of the Came From Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. I am not in England. I am in New York at the same time, Eastern Standard Time. I host a weekly syndicated radio show. We're on 95.9 FM WGBB every Sunday at 6 p.m. That's today. I'm going to be doing the show. And then we have a live show every second Wednesday of the month at the East Meadow Public Library. And I also am a comic book creator. I have my own book, Designated, right here, which is available on Crowdfunder with no R. It's about two warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. The war finds its way to planet Earth, and the humans gain abilities as a result. So who do we have on the panel there, JD?
All right, so let's bring in our first guest. What's up, Glenn? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm from England. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher. Got lots of books on Amazon, science fiction, adult humor. This is a book I wrote and illustrated about my dad's. My dad was a paratrooper on D-Day. This is his story. This is a book I wrote called The Dark Side of the Moon, which is about the Apollo astronauts who didn't go to the moon and why they didn't go to the moon. I like to travel the world, and I went to Easter Island, one of my furthest things. I wrote a book about that, which is a really big book full of my photographs. That was when I do my travels, I take extensive notes in a diary type of thing when I finish the day, and then I wrote a book around that, and I published Jack Kirby Variations on a Theme, which is like a homage to Kirby's work through the years. More. I'm about to publish this book called Little Green Tree, which is a children's book. This is coming from New Haven Press soon. This is coming from New Haven too. This is my comic character Hatch. This is the second book. And I published this book about my visits to see Jack Kirby at his house in 1988 and 1991. And the last one, I also publish Comics Limited, which is a 100-page magazine about comics. Lots of nice artwork in there.
Yeah. So, Glenn, I have to ask, can you put the debate about the Stan Lee versus Jack Kirby to bed?
Yeah. Look at the timeline. Look at both their timeline parallel with 1941 to 1971 when Kirby left Marvel the first time, and you can see where who did what, when, and where. It's quite easy. Stan Lee is a fantastic salesman, or was a fantastic salesman. I enjoyed his dialogue as a kid on all those books, but later it's clear to see that Kirby actually wrote them, and I think you can prove that because if you look at the original artwork, you've got Jack's notes at the side telling the writer, which would be Stan Lee, where the story's going, and you've got these fantastic drawings to go by, and Stan Lee just fills in the scenery, which is the words in a comic. That's my opinion. Stan Lee's brilliant, but I don't think he wrote those comics.
Cool.
Depends on your Depends on your interpretation of writing, doesn't it, I suppose?
True. But hold on, let's bring on our next guest.
Yeah.
Mr. Russ Leach, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you very much for having me on.
Yep. So please, sir, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name's Russ Leach. I'm an illustrator from the UK. I've worked with Marcosia, first off, lots of indie books, plenty of stuff with JD Rosario, who is somewhere off today. God knows where he is. You can never track him down. But then I ended up doing quite a lot of work for Panini. I worked on a lot of Doctor Who, worked with Marvel, DC. I worked on Batman recently. I've also worked with Warner Brothers on the the reboot of Ben 10. So I've been around the town, as it were, but I'm still heavily involved in indie comics.
Very nice, very nice. All right, let's bring on a. Well, right now, let's see if he's there.
Howard, I'm just running around in the background. I've heard every word though.
What's up, Sam? So please introduce yourself.
So I'm Sam Johnson. I'm the creator-writer of Geek Girl and also Carl Braccini, his Voodoo Junkie hit one seen on a cover of Geek Girl, and co-creator of The Almighties, which is a comedy super team with Mike Gagnon. And those are my main things.
All right, cool. So look, I'm gonna open up this session with this question, because I mean, you know, our markets, the markets you have out there in Britain, I know that there's obviously an intersection between the two, but I mean, what are the biggest differences you've seen between the market out in Britain and the market you see over here in America? You know, and how differently do you focus on them between those two markets? Like, you know, sales to like the fans, I'm sure a little different over there than they are over here. Attitudes here versus over there. Like, what are the big differences in that, you know, just between those two markets that you guys see, you know? Because I mean, that's the thing I find interesting is like, you know, like you guys doing indie comics, we're doing indie comics. Is there really much of a difference? I don't know. I want to find out. So let's start off with Mr. Russ.
Oh, okay. I would say, purely from my own experience, I can't talk for Glenn or Sam, but I wouldn't say there is much of a market over here. It's been pretty much decimated over the years. Yeah. I'm sure there still are avenues to sales, and I have my own book, Only Death Can Save Us, book 1 and 2. I have actually sold that in the UK and in Europe, but I have to say the vast majority of the people who bought it were American. So some of that, I think, in all fairness, is down to the kind of books you create. So it's very much a sort of a sci-fi, pulpy, Bronze Age kind of book. And that's very much directed at the American market. I mean, that's the stuff that I soaked up when I was a kid, and it was all coming from across the pond. I love 2000 AD. I love, you know, what went on with the British at that point in time, and it's still kind of there, but it seems to be so focused around the States as far as that kind of comic book is concerned. I think if you go to different genres, then probably my answer isn't valid, but I wouldn't know enough about that anyway, because I just don't get involved in that kind of storytelling. So I think it's very difficult. It's difficult for everyone out there at the moment, but certainly the first place I went was to the American market.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think the entire comics line is in decline everywhere. Like Russ said, the whole thing has been decimated, and there's stuff going on with the films now and all this kind of stuff. But on the positive side, that leaves the space open for independent creators, which is what we all are. And I think there's a fantastic opportunity right now for us to fill that market, because I go into my local Forbidden Planet bookstore and I just go in every couple of months or so, and I look at all the American comics, the ones the titles that I grew up on, and they're just all the same. You know, we've spoken about this at length, Russ and I, on other podcasts, that all the artwork and all the stories, they're all the same. And when we were reading comics first out, there were different artists, different styles. Now there's just this one style, it seems to my eye. But as I said, on a positive side, I think there's a fantastic opening for people like us to fill this market. You know, I mean, I don't know whether we'll ever be as big as Marvel or DC, but, you know, why not? And I think it's a great opportunity for us all to put our stuff out there.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I could go with that.
Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't see that much difference between the UK and the US market. I mean, my main thing is Kickstarter. certainly at the moment, I haven't done any conventions since COVID, so not that I'm up for doing them now, that it just hasn't transpired. I mean, I tend to spend a lot of time, like I've got 3 Kickstarters this year, and that takes a lot of prep time and a lot of promoting while you're doing it. But yeah, I mean, on Kickstarter, I get, you know, backers from all over the globe. There's a significant, I think US is the biggest part, but then US is the biggest part.
Right.
And there's a substantial amount of backers from the UK. In terms of the comics market in general, like Glenn was saying, one thing I've become conscious of, and this is, I don't think this is something that's going to apply to everyone, but I feel like I've kind of fallen behind a lot on my comics reading, and I think a significant part of the reason for that, I'm not like a binge watcher. I don't like to, you know, sort of gorge on stuff. And because of what Miles been doing on the TV, that's kind of ticking the box for me. And I don't feel the need in the same way as I would previously to be up to speed on what they're doing in the comics, because I'm really enjoying what they're doing on the TV, and that's not enough for me. I'm wanting to get back up with the comics, but because of the frequency they've been coming out, which is now slowed down, for me, that's kind of filled the space where my comics reading would be to some degree.
All right, that's fair enough. Now, I got a question. I got a separate question. So, Mark, I'm gonna step on your toes a second. I'm just gonna ask this one real quick. So, the question I have is that, like, since I think all of you have done Kickstarters, right? Or I know, or Indiegogo's or crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So, do you guys find, because here's the thing, like, I have less sales in the EU and Britain overseas because it's just so damn expensive to ship from here every place else, because, you know, the postal service is ridiculous here, right? So I guess most of my stuff out there goes, you know, PDFs, you know, just goes digital. But I was just wondering, do you guys see a significant climb from, you know, to your own country? Like, do you guys get significant sales in comparison? Like most of my sales are like 50-50, right? So it's like almost 50 PDF, 50 physical, but probably of that physical, maybe 10% is like outside of my country, right? Do you guys see something similar? Obviously, you said America's a big chunk of your market. So, I mean, like, what's that breakdown? Is it like 20-30, 30-40 as far as the physical?
Well,
I mean,
my Kirby book didn't really get a chance. I sort of slipped up, I think. Because of the postage, like you said, it was costing a fortune for the postage, and I've had messages where people didn't back it because the postage is more than the book, or
right.
was more than the book.
Right.
So that suffered through that, and obviously anything I do in the future, I know some people in America who've said they will, have it printed there and they will send it out for me. So that's a mistake I made. But I did notice that most of the sales I did get from the Kirby book were from the United States, which is a shame because that would have seemed, I don't know, maybe I'm not reaching everybody, but it would seem that people aren't aware of who Kirby was, because Kirby, as we all know, is everything for this, this medium that we use. But yeah, it's life that crushed it. The postage thing. Postage is crazy, and printing is crazy. Suddenly, the world's gone mad in all sorts of ways, and that's one that directly affected me.
Our postage went up, but not as much as America's did. So our prices stayed at least manageable for a while. So my first 2 campaigns, my first 2 books, I got 70%, I would say, of custom was from America. I didn't provide any PDFs. It was all physical books. And that was okay, but I don't know how that's going to go next time. So I'm also in communication with people in America to have those books printed and distributed from their perspective, which makes it so much cheaper because obviously inland is so much cheaper than international. So I think what's happening is people are just having to adapt, and make connections, which is a good thing, So.
Well, another mistake I made was that I also issued a DVD of me talking with Jack in his studio that you got with the book, and I made a mistake again. I didn't offer the DVD on its own because it's not going to cost much to post that.
Right.
It only came with the book, and I didn't offer PDFs, and I still wouldn't offer PDFs, but I should have made that available as just a DVD as well. I think some people might have bought that.
I think some of it also depends on your route to market. So on my first two books, and Glenn's similar with this because we're both involved with a publisher, New Haven. And so you have the process of having your books, having the physical books, sending them out. And then once you've made sure that your backers have got a unique option on that book, so it'll never be printed again in that format, they get the book that they've helped you produce, then it can go to the publisher in a slightly different format, so it's not special like it was for your backers, and also then it can go out to digital processors as well. So I know that, for instance, New Haven has got a deal now with a digital sort of magazine provider that will provide digital access to these books. So it kind of makes a difference as to what you put in the original crowdfunder if you know that it's going to go out to different outlets later on.
Yeah. Which I didn't know when I published mine. Sorry, go ahead.
Something that I'm obviously conscious of the cost of shipping when I'm running a Kickstarter, and what I tend to do is have two issues at once on a Kickstarter, because if you are paying for to ship one single floppy to America is very expensive, but two is not that much more expensive than one. And also I have with Geek Girl, you can get the back catalogue, so if you're getting a ton of books, the shipping is less than that, whereas like Glenn said, if you're buying one book, it can be more than that. So I think there's a way to work it. I mean, I would be hesitant to release a single issue on Kickstarter for that reason. I always try and do two, because then it does offset that somewhat.
And what's great is what you're seeing, from Sam there and from Glenn and what have you, is solutions. People finding ways round in order to get books out to the consumer. So it just shows somebody like Sam and Glenn have got a business sense as well. It's not just about the creative process; it's about having a business mind as well, and working out how you can get that stuff done.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Glenn, you were you don't want to release the Kirby thing as a digital. Why is that?
Well, I won't say I won't, but it's just something I don't sort of. It's like Russell laugh. It's like my artwork. I like a book. I like to hold this book.
Yeah.
I don't read PDFs, comics.
I think we're just old.
I'm just old. I'm sure I'm the oldest one on this panel, but I like a physical book.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've used an Apple Mac since 1990. I've done a lot of work on an Apple Mac. I know my way around Illustrator and Photoshop and Quark and all the stuff, InDesign and all this. And I do that. And I produce, because what I do, you see, I do the whole thing. I write the book, I illustrate the book, I design the book, and I publish the book, and I print the book. I do everything. So I have to do that on a computer, so I can, find my way around it. I'm not so old I don't know what a computer is, but I just like the physical things. I just like the physical book.
You're doing what you like.
I'm doing what I like.
Right.
Yeah, I had that same approach because I was still nostalgic when I came to it to do what I wanted to do, and I thoroughly appreciate that. And I don't think I'll be offering PDFs in any crowdfunding, but however, moving on to New Haven, our publisher, the fact that they'll be providing that in addition,
they do that. Yeah,
I'm actually a lot more relaxed about now. I'm starting to come around to it.
See, I just, like I say, I like to do the whole thing, but I don't want to start doing sending out PDFs.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got the time really, I've got things to do. I've only written and published 11 books.
I've got to scream at people to get off my lawn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got more things to do. I'm writing 4 books at the moment, all at the same time. So I can't be bothered sending out PDFs, and maybe I should.
Nice.
It's not about the money for me.
I totally appreciate why it's done, and actually how it can generate income, and how it can get more readers involved, and I think it's a good thing. Seeing it happen, like Glenn says, it's just one of those things that aren't on my list.
I think you've got to be careful, because you can, like Russ was saying about the business head, you can turn into a businessman. Arranging all these things and contacting all these, spending all your time sending emails to people and waiting for replies. And I just want to draw and write, which is why it's great that, with thanks to Russ, I've found New Haven, and I can do less of that now, because I
think
send it to them and they send it out.
I think so. Being involved in teams as well. I mean, I know that you do everything, Glenn, and on my first book, I did everything. But I have to say, being involved in a team is. And that team can be anything. That team can be your publisher, or the team can be like me and Randy Zimmerman, and like working with Arrow, and then him having contacts so that we can get it printed out. It really is. I'm finding the benefit of getting involved in larger groups. When I say larger, just like 2 or 3 people, but rather than just me. So
you get a bit insular, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Mark.
Yes.
What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you did your campaign. How much of yours how many oversales keys did you get? Sales.
I think the only overseas sale I got was from my graphic designer. She lives in the Philippines, and she actually had me mail out a book to a friend of hers who lived in the States, so she could hand deliver it to the Philippines.
Oh, that's
Right.
funny.
I told her, I was like, you just get it printed over there. You have the PDF already. She's like, no, I want the physical copy from where you got it printed. I was like, all right. But most of my PDF sales everything is United States based.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I did my Kirby book, and the first day, and Russ has done this as well, I don't know about you other guys, you probably have. The first day, you get all these orders, and when I said first day, when the orders come in, and you parcel, it takes days to parcel it all up. Make sure you've got the address right. All the lists you go through, and then the fun starts, because I went to the post office with 35 packages, and they're all to different places all over the world, so they've got to be weighed all the time. And the guy, I walked in with 35 packages, and the guy thought it was really funny. Wow, what's this? And I told him what it was, and where they're going to Hong Kong and Australia and United States and everywhere. And then the next day, I turned up with another 30 packages, and he didn't find it so funny then, because I took I think it was about an hour and a half of me standing at two tills in the post office, and one was down for an hour and a half with my Kirby book. And like I said, the next day he wasn't amused, and he wasn't amused to the tune that when I went the third day, I went to a different post office because I don't think he'd have let me in.
Yeah, I went to the same place for 10 days, 10 business days in a row with 30 packages, and they weren't very happy. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have this service available to you guys out there. We use something called Pirate Ship, and then what it is you can download a file from Kickstarter. Right?
It's something else to do. It's something else to do. That's exactly
what
I'm saying.
But believe it or not, it'll save you way more time, because that time that you spend driving to the post office and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Daphne bangs out, like, listen, she's the one that handles that. I'm not gonna. Full disclosure, she's the smart one. She gets the Excel file and she puts it in. She says it's a lot easier. Like we used to use another site, but this particular site, Pirate Ship. It goes right in. It exports out all of the labels, right? And you have all the labels. And what we do is we label. I package up all the packages and I just number them. 37, 42, whatever. What corresponds. And it's on that label. We just slap. And Over here, we can call the post if we have enough packages. We can call the post office; they'll come and get it.
Yeah,
They
the
probably
next
do
time
send it.
round.
Yeah.
Next time round, because I'll have to send the stuff off to Europe and the UK if I get any customers from there. I've actually found that you can go to the post office online now, Glenn, and it's substantially cheaper as well.
Right.
If you put it all in online, they print it all out for you and they come around and they pick up all the packages.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and that was the other thing. You know, if we go to the post office and let's say I was going to ship to Britain, I don't know. I think a standard comic, $35. Cool. If we did it through the site, it would come down to probably about 20 to 18.
That's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. Yeah. So you know, so there's a huge difference. So yeah, that's one of the things. You know, when you go into, you got to really look into these sites and like see what they can do for you. You know, so I would definitely suggest that.
About 15 years ago now, I used to publish a magazine about comics called Crikey, the Great British Comics magazine. It was just about British comics. And I had 345 subscribers to that, as well as putting it in the comic shops. So, and it's the same story. I used to go to a little sub post office, a little tiny one, not just a couple of girls working there. And they used to hate it because this thing was monthly, and I used to go in every month with 350 copies of this thing, and again they thought it was funny, but not the next month, and then the next month, and there was a point where they were going to say to me that I had to put the stamps on. They were going to give me all the stamps to lick and put on and just deliver finished packages. And I said, no, I'm keeping you in work. You've got a job to get on with it. You know?
Yeah.
They were like,
I can't lick the stamps, can it, Ayla?
Exactly. They were like, lick them yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Mark, I'm sorry. I stepped on your toes. Your question, sir, please.
I have a two-part question. The first part is, in the States, at least, since we're a representative of the United States right here, manga is a big thing. Is manga a big thing also in the across the pond, as they say? And the second part of the question is Allo Allo still popular over there? I love that show.
Hold on, guys. What is it, Glenn? Hold on. Sam, because Sam has had a chance to go first.
Okay.
Yeah. Get Sam first. Yeah.
But fun fact, hello. Vicky Michelle has just pitched up in EastEnders, which is like the top soap here, or one of the top soaps. But I don't think I don't know if they can even show like an unedited version of Hello anymore. I'm sure it's still on like UK Gold or something, but it's not. I don't think the kids are into it.
Well, as far as I'm aware, the biggest fan base for Hello is Germany.
Right.
Really?
Which is quite ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just think it's a sign of the times, this PC world we live in now, where you can't say boo to a goose. I think it's pathetic. I think it's pathetic that they can't show that, and they want to cut out bits of Faulty Towers and Benny Hill and all this classic.
It is still being
British
run.
Programs.
I can't remember which channel it's on.
Yeah, it's still knocking about.
Yeah, it is still being run, and I regularly show it to my kids, and they laugh their heads off.
Do they?
It's really fair. They love it, and my boy's 25, so they absolutely love it. They love it. They think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's innocent. I don't understand how anyone could be upset by it.
I think it's funny. It's just funny.
It's very clever. What was the first part of the question? Sorry.
Manga.
Not a clue, mate.
Over there?
Not a clue. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's pretty big.
It is.
I'm not a kid, so I don't know.
Well, I'm not a kid, but I see that that's what the kids are reading.
Yeah, but I don't see any kids.
When I go,
you're not hanging around the school. Hey, what kids are you reading?
When I go into Forbidden Planet, it's full of manga. I don't buy it, but it's full of it.
I haven't been to a comic shop in an awful long time. So.
Yeah, it is a big thing, and also I've found like a trend tends to be with like my friends' kids, that they've maybe started out in like your Marvel, DC, and then gravitate towards anime. Anime is a big. It's not something I'm into, so it's not something I can sort of say anything much about, other than it's a big deal here.
The last manga thing I bought was Akira, and I think in 1988. So, but then again, the last comic I bought, apart from Watchmen and Dark Knight, the Frank Miller, I think was the Spider-Man 6-issue arc, as they call it, where I think it was Kraven the Hunter killed him and buried him or something. Mike Zeck artwork, fantastic art. That was the last. When was that? When was that? About 1986.
Yeah.
About that time, yeah. 86, 88.
About 3 sequels to that.
Yeah. Was it Craven's Last Hunt?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
James DeMatteis. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. So
Right.
I'm really out of touch. Some would say I'm out of touch about everything, and they'd probably be right. I get out less than Russ does. In fact, I've not been out since Friday morning. I've not set foot outside the house since Friday morning. So
Nice.
At least
Right.
get out to go training, yeah.
So here I got a question for you guys. I mean, because I don't know how it affected you, how you guys feel about it. You know, there was a whole breakup with the EU, right? The Brexit thing that you guys went through. How did it affect your business as comic book creators? Did it affect you at all?
As creators, I would say not at all, personally.
Mhm.
And I have done work with European partners since that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And it made no difference whatsoever. Postage wise, it's a pain in the backside.
Yeah.
Because what you have to, the hoops you have to jump through now is, whereas posting to America is fine. The other thing about posting anything to the EU is that different EU countries have VAT rates, and sometimes they have to pay extra once they get the package.
Yeah.
And it's a real pain.
To give you an idea of where I stand on all that, I think, and I thought this for a long time, what they should do is, drag Great Britain and park it off the coast of New York. That's where I am with it.
More chance of all of us working for Marvel then. Isn't
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Nice.
But you must admit, you must realise that the only country in the world with great before it is Great Britain. So there's a reason for that.
Nice. Sam, you got any thoughts on it? What did it affect your business?
Like creatively, no difference. Like Russ was saying, the postage thing, and again, tying in with what Glenn was saying about the amount of time it takes, and the looks you get when you turn up at the post office.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff they've got to fill in now when they send something to Europe for every single thing, it takes about 3 times as long. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but certainly at least twice. So thanks for that, Boris and Nigel.
But the thing is it's right the way down to their software system. So even when you're sending stuff to America now, whereas before you could give them like 10 packages and they were all going to America, so that they could tap in, because they're all the same weight. Yeah, they could tap in your details. They wouldn't have to put them in again. They could just go through and put all the 10 in, even if it's America. It doesn't matter if it's Europe or whatever. And now they have to go back and do every one, and it's just it's awful, absolutely awful. And that's just bureaucracy. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether it's European, doesn't matter if it's British. It's just bureaucratic rubbish, and it's just terrible.
I think it's designed to stop you doing anything, but that's
just stay in your bunker. Do not leave your bunker.
But you can't have any windows because there's a light tax. Like in 1580 when they bricked up everybody's windows.
Window tax,
Window tax.
And then everybody died, didn't they?
Yeah.
But
anyway,
it was the TV tax that you guys. Is that still the same?
Let's talk about that.
You're getting involved in stuff now you don't want to get involved in.
I've never even heard of the TV tax.
Yeah, I've heard of that years ago.
You've got to have a TV license to watch the BBC,
to watch live television.
but
Wow,
you've you can't buy a TV without BBC on it because
Right.
nobody'd watch BBC, would they?
You can. In all fairness, you can opt out.
Mm.
Oh,
But
yeah,
you're not allowed to watch live television at all.
So what does that mean? Live
It means you
television?
can watch something that you've recorded. You can't watch
It
like
doesn't have to
ITV.
be recorded; just can be streamed. You know, you just
Streamed,
can't watch
yeah,
something
yeah, like
when
Netflix.
it's
But you
broadcast
can't.
at
But
the
you
time.
can't watch iPlayer.
Yeah, you can't watch BBC iPlayer, but you
No.
can watch all the others. And just to be clear on this, JD, it's not a tax as such, because that does sound bad. It's the license fee,
It's
which
a
is
license.
the BBC fund their programs.
But it
by
isn't.
being
But
available.
it is a tax, really.
But you don't, like Russell, you don't have. I don't use it. If you don't watch live TV, you don't watch the BBC, you don't have to pay it.
Yeah,
Mm.
that is the case. That is the case.
Now, is this fee monthly or
No,
annually?
it's a year, monthly. It's
Well, it costs you
about $200 a year.
Yeah, 150 quid a year, and you pay it however you pay it. You know,
150?
yeah,
Yeah,
150 quid. Yeah,
Damn, that's more than Netflix.
that's
Annually.
right. That's right.
So,
The BBC would defend themselves by saying they do so much more than Netflix. They do radio, they do all kinds of different programming and what have you.
Mhm.
And being closely involved with the BBC, I couldn't possibly comment.
But what they do is
they would characterize it in a different way.
But aren't the BBC selling those programs that I've helped pay for abroad, and
Yes.
I can't watch them?
There
Yeah,
is
well,
some.
they're mine.
gloss over that.
They're mine. Surely.
I want to be
I
able
paid
to
for them.
watch Top of the Pops 1977
Oh,
whenever I like. Okay,
yes.
that's what I want.
Yeah,
I want to be able to watch LOLO.
Yes.
Now,
Without
are those
saying you may find some of this offensive.
No, I don't want that. No. If I find it offensive, I'll turn it off. You know.
So-
you know.
so are these older shows archived? Are they available to you?
No, I think that would actually get the BBC off the hook in a lot of ways. I believe Channel 4 archives just about everything it does,
Yeah.
but the BBC don't. And I think actually that would make a big difference to the way people would see the license fee if they could go back and watch whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted. The trouble is they do have a private arm. I think it's BBC Worldwide or something, and they then set up also other channels like UK TV Gold or something like that, and they sell that, so you can go and watch old shows on there if you pay £5 a month, but you can't see them even though you've paid for them already with your license fee. So it's like I said, you don't want to go there. Forget
The
that
whole
subject.
racket they've got going on here.
Gotcha.
Also,
No,
I
I find, look, from my
just
perspective,
I
I
just
find
want
it
to get rid of
fascinating.
the TV altogether, but it's not my choice.
Yeah. Glenn wouldn't have the demon box in the house.
No. Only because I've got to pay this crappy fee for it. Sorry, JD, you were saying.
No, that's fine.
He's just fascinated us at our uncivilized behavior.
No, it's hilarious. Look, I think it's like I said, it's these little differences, right, between the two cultures and between our countries that I find fascinating. Listen, I interviewed a guy, right, and he pronounced the name of his book. It was something macabre, right?
No, yeah.
Macabre. Now
Macabre.
in America we pronounce it macabre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so do we. I
So
think he
do
was
we.
probably
Yeah.
just stupid.
Right. But the thing is I looked it up.
But then again,
No offense.
Americans do say oregano and parmesan, and that's wrong.
Right. It's Parmesan, sir. Parmesan. And remember, it's also aluminum.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
Aluminum.
Advertising.
And
Don't
it's-
start with the aluminum.
the
right.
one that my wife and I always laugh at is that he's gotten out of jail. Gotten. What is that?
Gone. Where's the word?
He's gotten.
I couldn't care less either. There's a particular way that Americans say I could care
Could
less.
care less.
I
It's
could
like
care less.
why
I
that
could
doesn't
care
make any
less.
logical sense
Yes.
whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think we're just breaking it down. But yeah, but like I said, I mean these just the differences in language. We're all talking the same language allegedly, right? But it's just the differences that are just
I think-
fascinating.
I think that's the one. You look back on the last 10 to 15 years and how some areas of the internet have become absolute cesspits, where people don't check what they're saying and don't check how hurtful they can be and how awful they can be because they're anonymous. You're in front of me as a physical person. Yeah, well, all kinds of places. You got people in front of you, and none of them would say the things that I've heard said to me directly to my face. So you see that, but at the same time, you get the opportunity to. I mean, I've never met Glenn in person. I've never met Sam in person. It's great to meet Sam, and I know Glenn really well now because of the shows that we've been on. And obviously, I know you as well, JD, and also Jay as well, and Randy and everybody else that's involved. And it is a really great thing to be able to interact over such large distances and see the commonalities. So we're giggling about the fact that we're different, but there's so much more that binds us all together. And it's really cool, very, very cool thing. And it's certainly made a difference to my career because when I started out in 2010, when I decided to come back to comics, there was no submission process anymore. It all gone. The submission process that I'd followed in the mid 90s when I had some success with Marvel, as far as connecting with them and getting in, I never actually got any work in the end. But the point was I could have a dialogue with them, even if it was over 6 months via post. But I could have a dialogue with them. And then, you get to 2010, I walk up and there's like all the submission processes are closed down. It's like, wow, what's going on? And then I started getting involved in chat rooms and, talking to people online and what have you, got some work. Like I say, as far as I could tell, the US indie scene was a little bit more vibrant, a bit more, there was certainly bigger. And that whole process, being involved, over the internet, being able to talk to people, it made a huge difference to what I was doing. Yeah, and in fact, just to finish off, my first graphic novel, which never actually got printed, which I did with New Baby Productions, the writer on that was in Spain, and I was here, and the production guy, the guy that owned it, was in America, and actually the guy that was in Spain was the editor that took me on to do Doctor Who in 2015.
There you go.
So you never know where these things are going and how you're going to network. It's great. That's why it's also important to be polite.
And also, just to underline what Russ had just said about the internet and things like that, and the chat rooms and podcasts, is that for me, it's all come out of COVID.
Yeah, it's about saying. Yeah.
When we were all locked down and we couldn't go anywhere and do all that, I found podcasts, and then started getting involved, and So look for the good in everything,
So I certainly, I mean, we were supported. I mean, you can. There's a whole bunch of arguments about what went on, and I'm not going to get involved in it. But we were, to a degree, well supported over here. I felt supported. I was fortunate and lucky enough to be supported as a freelancer. It wasn't just comics that I was doing other work as well. And my work fell off a cliff. Literally, I was working with an AI company. We were doing build your own story development and stuff like that. There were 2 other clients I was with at the time as well, and it all just fell. I was storyboarding for a film, and of course it all got chopped at the knees. That was it, all over. And that was when I decided. I mean, I'd already had the idea for the first graphic novel, my own graphic novel, Only Death Can Save Us. I'd already had the concept and was looking at doing it slowly over 2020. But it ended up that I got it out and got it done because, I couldn't do anything else. There was no other work. I had no choice. So it did definitely form, a definite branch in the career and where I was going. So, yeah.
All right, cool. Mark, you're up again, sir.
So jumping on the COVID train, did you find that you guys were consuming more stuff from outside the country during the pandemic, or did you find that you doubled down on things that were already popular in the United Kingdom, Britain? So for us in the United States, if you say, hey, name a British show, you probably can name like 5 things, and that's only the 5 things throughout the years. It hasn't changed. So is that the same thing over there, or was it different? And did the pandemic change that?
Right. I'll let Sam answer this one.
Yeah, let's.
I think you'll have a more pertinent answer.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Sorry. I didn't entirely get the question. I'm sorry.
So, for example, if you walk down the street in New York, as we tend to do, because we're a representative of the United States, you say, "Hey, name a British show." Let's say Fawlty Towers, Monty Python, EastEnders, maybe. I always say hello, but that's not really that popular. Benny Hill. Those are the imports. And when Doctor Who, yes, and then when the pandemic, you tend to look for outside. Oh, what else they have? What else is going on out there?
Right.
As opposed to, or do you just say, let me double down on stuff that I haven't seen in a while that is your country's based out of? So if for you guys, since you're over there, was it the same thing? So if someone said, hey, name an American property, is it the same American properties that's been over the years, or is it different things? And did you find new stuff when the pandemic happened?
Well, from my view, this goes back to this TV license. One of the reasons I want to get rid of it is because we don't watch it. We don't watch the television. So I don't see the point of having it. So no, my answer to you would be no. I didn't look else. I just continued to watch what I watch, if anything. So it didn't really. The COVID thing didn't impact us in the way, or me in any way. Really, with regards to TV or whatever. I just carried on the same, never going out.
It did impact on me. I think, like a lot of people with COVID, there was sort of, when it started, it's like, oh, we're going to do loads of exercise and all that, which lasted 5 minutes. So then the TV kicks in. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who watches a huge amount of TV, but like when you basically couldn't leave the house, both doubling down on what you already watch and looking for new stuff, because you'll consume more, so you'll want more, basically.
I wrote 5 books in the first 2 years of COVID.
Yeah. I think that's roughly where I was. We walked every day, and I carried on training anyway in my own. So I continued doing that, and I wasn't interested in the television at all. As I say, I'd got my opportunity to do my own book. So because that, I was kind of like not really that interested in what was going on. One thing I did do, though, was I found myself buying an awful lot of crowdfunding work at the time. Because I was involved in the crowdfunding, I'd finally got myself involved in it. Right. I'd already bought a few books crowdfunding, but I found myself buying more in that year than in any other year, and consuming lots and lots of different comic books. I'll be honest, I haven't really bought much from the big 2, big 3 in quite a while. The only stuff that I have bought has been reprints, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't that involved anyway, but it was really nice to actually find new stuff. But that was mostly because I was so sort of focused on making my own book and being in the crowdfunding process that I kind of sort of went, oh, what's that and what's that? But TV wise, nothing. I wasn't interested anyway. I tend not to watch an awful lot of TV these days. So and we couldn't go out and watch any films anymore. I do like watching the films that I've got. I have a physical library rather than stuff that I download. But I would say it was mixed in that way. So from one perspective, I was pretty much the same, closed in, just focused on what I was doing. But then because I was involved in that crowdfunding thing, I was picking up books that I wouldn't maybe normally have picked up.
I think there was also a kind of a platform for that in that for a while there they couldn't really make TV shows, so we could still make comics. So I had a Kickstarter running on COVID. I had a Kickstarter running on COVID. I had a Kickstarter running when COVID kicked in, and you didn't know, right, what does this mean? People have got no money. So I kind of like dialed it down somewhat and was less aggressive than I would normally be. But it didn't hurt it. And as I say, there was a thing where, because for some time there, they couldn't make films and TV, then people want their entertainment. So it didn't hurt comics in that way. Obviously, comic shops, it was not great.
But again, that lack of content, we find ourselves in a similar situation now with the writers' strike and the actors' strike. You know, that will have a lag on it, and it will have, there'll be a big hole in content as far as TV and film is concerned. There's also a whole bunch of things going on in the mainstream comic book industry and with mainstream distribution at the moment. Just it's all sort of up in the air. So you know, there's opportunity here now, and that's what you should jump onto, really.
So let me jump on that. So speaking of opportunity, with the writer strike and actor strike happening right now, do you find it as an independent creator, this is your chance to shine, as because there's not as much stuff out there? Or do you think that, would you take that opportunity to join forces with the strike in case that you ever become in that position, that you'd be able to reap the benefits?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, about this strike and the gap. But I don't think that there really is a gap, because I don't think if I suddenly pitch up in Hollywood with one of my books, they're going to make it, because the process is years, isn't it? So the writer's strike is going to be over soon, you know, whatever happens. It's like any strike. It never goes on forever. So I don't think there is an actual gap. You know, I think the process of me getting that made into a film would always be the same. I don't know. That's just the way. I mean,
the gap I see is actually something that, unless you've already got a book in production, ready to go, you're not going to be able to take advantage of. I don't think. So I'm with Glenn. I'm with Glenn on that. I do think there is a gap, and I think some people will be fortunate enough to launch in that time frame.
But they were already probably 3/4 of the way there.
They were already going that way anyway. As far as joining them is concerned. I've not been particularly impressed with mainstream content anyway. I've not been impressed for some time, whether that be comic books or whether that be Hollywood or the television. So I'd be more inclined to support writers if the stuff that I was being, you know, that they were asking me to consume was decent. And I'm afraid I'm just not very impressed. And, you know, being on the outside, I mean, obviously I have worked for mainstream companies. I work for big publishers and what have you, but you're always only as good as the editor who knows your name. There's no guarantees in this. There's no guarantees for anyone. It's just, unfortunately, that's the nature of creativity. If you start embroiling it in too many rules and too many restrictions because of, you know, whatever demands you might have on the company that's paying you, you tend to find it starts to get a little bit stiff and lifeless, and it's already that anyway. So, you know, it's not that I wish anybody ill, but they're a million miles away from me, and I don't mean physically either. I mean they're just not in the same life that I am in. Much like politicians, you know, they're just so detached that it's difficult to appreciate where they're coming from. So I mean, I for instance, as a direct sort of thing, I would feel sorry for carpenters, caterers, electricians, all those people that work, you know, a real job in that environment. You know, they're going to be hurt by this. Okay, whereas, you know, the actors and writers, you know, it just isn't impressing on me at all. And I don't feel that we're in the same boat in any way, shape or form.
That's fair. Sam, you got any thoughts on it?
Just that while we're talking about this, I'm thinking about going on strike because I'm paying myself peanuts for what I do.
It's been the longest strike ever. No one will budge.
No one's going to budge. No.
All right, cool. All right, I got one more quick question before I start pulling up campaigns or websites and stuff. So, oh yeah, guys, if you have any campaigns or websites, put them in the private chat. I'll pull them.
Okay.
Right. So here's one for you guys. So, gentlemen, here's kind of like there's like three answers to this question. One, who is your favorite British creator, right, or writer artist? It doesn't matter what genre, medium, whatever. Who is your favorite British creator that people outside of Britain may not know? Okay, like because I could. Okay, so some independent guy that maybe I just wouldn't know about because he's so local to you guys that you know what I mean. He does 100 fanzines and that's it. That type of guy, right? And then who's your favorite non-British creator?
Is that living or dead?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah,
Slightly easier to answer.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sam, you want to go for it first?
I'm racking my brains on the sort of more obscure one. I'll have to get that going in the subconscious. My biggest influence is always Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol, which I really enjoyed how much they took from it in the TV series, and I thought that was fantastic. It's not done yet. But I'll have to come back to you on the more obscure one.
What was the first one again?
Obscure British artists.
Art. When you say art, what do you mean by artists?
Creators. Sorry.
Creator. Obscure. I would say Russell Leach. And,
I've heard of him. He's not obscure.
Because
I do have a specific. I forgot to mention. I do have a specific rule about this show. We do not mention the other creators on the panel.
Sorry, Russ. I tried.
That's all right. The check's in the post.
I would, as an artist, he's probably. I don't think he's well known in America so much, but I would go for Cam Kennedy.
Okay.
He did work for DC, I think, and he drew the Light and Darkness War with
yes.
Whoever it was he wrote it with, but he used to do Rogue Trooper in 2000 AD, and I think he's a very underrated artist. I think he's more well known over here than he is in the United States. Well, that's because I think that was because of the process. Because as I remember it, he did one book for DC, and they slaughtered it with the inking. And as you're probably aware, most UK or European artists tend to do a full job. They ink and colour, rather than give it to a letterer and an inker and spread it around like they do in America. What was the second question?
Okay, now the second part of that, who is okay? That was the obscure one.
Right.
So, Russ, did you have an obscure creator that you maybe?
Yeah, I think Lucifer Storm is doing some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I would pick him out.
What's the guy's name?
Lucifer Storm. He's done some stuff in the past, and
he does Ed Gein.
Ed Gein, yeah. Is it Demon Hunter? Ed Gein, Demon Hunter, and that looks really good.
It is good. I've read it. I've got it.
Oh, right, you've got it.
I wrote the review for his collective.
Did you?
Yeah,
it looks really good, and I think I'm probably gonna pick that up.
It's excellent, and I don't know the artist guy's name. I think he's from South America.
Yeah,
but
I think he is.
It's very, very like Dave Gibbons on Watchmen.
Yeah.
But it is superb. Get it?
Yeah.
Is it is that being crowdfunded?
It was crowdfunded. I think it was Kickstarter. Was it? Or was it Indiegogo?
Yes. Well, one of the two, but
out there now. One of those two. Yeah. Yeah, you can certainly go to his website. He's got a website, luciferstorm.com. So you can find out everything there. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's interesting to find these indie guys. But all right, now who is your favorite non-British creator?
right. Okay, artist would have to be John Buscema.
Okay.
I would say Kirby on that. Sorry.
That's all right. You'd say Kirby. And so if it's just artist, I'd say John Buscema. And I've always been in love with Stalin's work. So.
I can't really say I've got a favourite one because I like the example of Grant Morrison. It's like I love Doom Patrol, but I don't necessarily connect with everything he does. And like I think I enjoy the Marvel Star Wars comics, and I think Jason Aaron's run on it really. I don't think they all properly capture the sort of Star Wars as a sort of magic feel to it for me. And Jason Aaron's run on Star Wars captured that, but then his run on Avengers just didn't appeal to me at all. Was like just not of interest to me. So I can't say that I have like a favorite. It depends on what they're working on.
Fair enough.
All right, that's fair. Now, did you guys answer who's your favorite? Yeah, you said Cam Kennedy, right?
Yeah. So, is there did you want an obscure British artist and then a famous British artist? Is that what you want?
Right, or a famous British creator?
Yeah. Well, it would, as Glenn said, there's not Higgins,
Gibbons.
Dave Gibbons.
Dave Gibbons.
So it'd be somewhere between Dave Gibbons and Brian Bolland.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are so many. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm just looking up something to link to for the one I thought of is Grant Springford, who also takes a big influence from Morrison's Doom Patrol. I'm a fan of his stuff. I don't think he's got a website, but I've just found on Instagram he's just G Springford. So quirky, weird superhero type stuff. It looks like I don't think he's released anything in a while, but looking at his Instagram now, there's a lot of new stuff up on it, and he's a writer and artist. So yeah, he's my one for that.
Cool.
I think it's a difficult question, isn't it? Because
yeah,
if you take music, if I had to take a Desert Island disc, I'd take Kate Bush, but I might be persuaded when I saw the David Bowie collection. But having said that, you can't beat the Beatles, so you can't really. There's no. I don't think you can really pin it down with any artist because
it's difficult.
Because you've got from my thoughts and my time, if you want, because I'm really old. I like Kirby, Ditko, John Romita, John Buscema. Yeah. Frank Giacoia, Joe Sinnott. There's just
how difficult is it to say that? I mean, I pick out Buscema because he is like it's the preeminent thing that I think of when I think of artwork. But just hovering in the same breath is Sinnott and Romita and
Gene Colan and
and it's
John
so
Severin.
It is really difficult because so many of them, and I can understand how this might have an effect on from a writing perspective as well. I've only written a couple of scripts. My first Only Death Can Save Us script, and that was very much influenced by Stalin's work. So I can see how it's really difficult because so many people influence you in your career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we have our final guest, Joel. How you doing?
Hello, very well, thanks. How's everyone?
Hello, Joel.
We're good.
All right. Where have you been, Joel? We've been waiting for you for an hour.
Well, like I said, we started. It's fine. But Joel, please introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm the editor-in-chief of Tripwire magazine, which has been around for we've been around for 31 years now. So we cover comics, film, and TV. We've also just launched our first comics crowdfunding campaign for our Sherlock Holmes comics. So nice to meet everyone, and nice for everyone to listen to us. Hopefully, talk something interesting. Hopefully, the next hour. So.
Yes.
All right, so Joel, you missed out on the most important question. How much of an Allo fan are you?
How much of a what? Sorry.
Allo fan.
A what fan?
Allo.
Not hugely, I'm afraid.
Right.
Get him off. Get him off.
Well, that's all we got time for, I'm afraid.
Hey, look, Joel. If it makes you feel any better, I don't know what they're talking about either.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No,
It's all right. It's not,
Is it worth?
it wasn't
someone
great. I
actually-
mean, I used to watch it occasionally, but it wasn't my favorite comedy program.
Mark, is it worth? Because we obviously this has been a big topic during the show. Is it worth actually describing what a low is for those who aren't
Yes,
aware of?
for the uneducated.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a 1980s British comedy program set during Vichy France during the Nazi resistance, and it was on the BBC, and it was very, very popular. And I think it did get sold overseas. I'm not sure. It was on. I can't remember what night it was on, but it was a popular series.
What made it key? What was the fantastic thing about it, and why it's so bizarre that Germany loved it so much? Was that everybody spoke in English, just with the accents of the countries they came from, and nobody could understand each other, even though they were all speaking English.
Yeah.
Which sounds really stupid, but it kind of made the show. That was what the show was. Yeah.
And there was an English guy who was a spy pretending to be French, and he'd say,
Yeah.
we blew them to little pissers. You know, from the pieces. He'd get the words wrong, wouldn't he?
It was just stupid.
Okay.
And then when somebody was bilingual and they spoke to two different people, they just switched their accents.
They just switched their accents. Yeah.
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 That girl, the girl comes to mind who was the French resistance girl.
Michelle.
And they were trying to get the pilots out, and she said to the French fella, "We have to be at the clearing at 11 o'clock." And then she turned to the British guys and said, "I say, chaps, we should be." You know.
Okay. All right. Sounds interesting enough. But Joe, you came in. You just dropped in when we were asking this question, right? Like, so
Okay.
we talked about a bunch of other things, but here I'll ask you this question. This is the one we just all went over. So, who is your favorite British creator, right?
Yes.
And what's it? There's three parts. So, who's your favorite British creator? Who is like a creator who might be obscure in Britain that you know of, right? That we may not know of, that you want to share out, because you'll have that one. I just said, like, you might have that one guy who's doing zines and he produces 100 and that's all he say. You might see him at a show every now and again. You buy one and you really enjoy his stuff, right? And then who's your favorite non-British creator?
Favorite British comic artist. That is a tough question. I mean, I've always liked Dave Gibbons' stuff, and I've always enjoyed Brian Bolland's art as well. I mean, there's a lot of more recent British comic artists, people like Chris Weston, who are very talented. So I'm going to be really annoying, and I'm not sure if I can pick a single artist, because there are a lot. And Sean Phillips is great. So I'm going to be a very annoying guest, because I can't pick a single British comic artist, because there's a lot of very talented ones out there.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. What's funny is you say Chris Weston is current, and I'm like, wow, Chris Weston's been around for at least 15 years.
Well,
right?
when I say current, I mean he's been around for 20 years. But...
Right, yeah. It's tough being old, man. I know how you feel.
I know. And then I suppose a less obscure British artist that I'm sure that some of the people on this panel have heard of, I would pick Jim Holdaway, who drew Modesty Blaze.
Oh, yeah.
For a number of years. And weirdly, Walt Simonson, who I'm in regular contact with, he has the biggest collection of Jim Holdaway art outside of the UK. He has original Blaze strips on the wall, and I thought he was magnificent. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people on this panel have heard of him, but I'm not sure how many of your listeners have heard of him. So I would pick him as a great British comic artist or comic strip artist, but his stuff is magnificent.
Gotcha. Now, who's your favorite
died so long ago, was it 1970?
He died in 1970. I mean, we've done this thing. We've done 101 greatest comic artists of all time in the magazine, and we just put Holdaway in there. And there's an amazing picture of him smoking a cigarette with a cigarette holder, and he looks so cool. I mean, a bit like Alex Raymond. You've probably seen those photos of Alex Raymond with all of his models in his studio. But Holdaway just looks one of the coolest people on the planet. But he's been gone a hell of a long time. But I thought he was a very talented artist.
Yeah.
Nice. So who's your favorite non-British artist?
Well, as an American artist, there are two. One is Joe Kubert, and the other one would be Walt Simonson, I think. So they're probably tied for the two.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Mark, answer the question, but in reverse. Well, because we're in America, so I'm not going to ask.
Let me say obscure. artist from here. I really love Brian Kong's work. He's a solid guy. He's someone where if I ever want something done, I go to him. He has a 3. He's good, fast, and cheap.
Well, that's the best, isn't it? That's what you want.
Yeah. That's what you
Normally,
want.
you only get 2 of those.
Yes,
I
exactly.
know, right? So finding him was an amazing thing. So I would say Brian Kong, and Russ Braun. He's
very talented. He's a great artist.
Yeah. He actually is the one that drew the cover of my book. And the funny thing about Russ is that I met him in the comic book school that I went to. He was my teacher.
Oh,
So
really?
I've known him for years, and just the fact that I'm able to have the circle complete and have him do a cover of my book was an amazing thing. He was just at a book signing.
What was the school you went to?
It was the New York Academy of Comic Book Art and Fantasy Illustration. It lasted 1 year. No, it lasted 2 years.
Okay.
This was back in 94, 93.
So who else taught you there?
It was Prentice Rollins.
I know Prentice. Actually, he lives over here, so
Yeah,
I know Prentice.
Yeah,
I know Jackie, his wife, as well. So yes.
It was Prentice Rollins. Stu Suchint was the colorist. And
Yes.
Carl Paolino was the guy who put it together.
Oh, nice.
So if you remember Celebrity Deathmatch, he was the one.
Yes, I do. Yes.
He had a hand in Celebrity Deathmatch with the claymation.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah, that was 100 years ago.
But obviously, it was useful. It must have been a fun experience.
Oh yeah. It was an amazing, eye-opening experience because up until that time, I didn't really know the ins and outs of the comic book world. Like as a kid, I always wanted to do comics. I just thought, oh, you just go to Marvel, you draw whatever you want, and then you're published. And then when I went to the school, they were like, "Yeah, it doesn't quite work like that."
Nice. Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, for me, I would say probably George Perez would be my favorite American.
Yes.
And
well, he's supposed to be unknown. Who's the unknown?
yeah, no, I'm thinking. What's funny is I'm drawing a blank on like all of their names. Well, it's funny. Probably and I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm gonna have to defer on that one for now. I'll have to answer that one later.
Defer from your own question.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to defer from my own question. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, but my favorite non-American artist would probably Topi. I don't know if I pronounced his name right. The Italian artist.
Oh, Sergio Topi is it?
Yes.
We interviewed him for our Studio Space. I didn't. My friend Smoky Man interviewed him for our Studio Space book back in 2008. He was an amazing artist.
Yes, I mean, we've been getting his reprints. They've been coming out of a magnetic press over here.
Yeah, I saw
reprinting
that. I haven't seen any copies yet. But they look amazing.
Oh yeah, I have like the entire run and just beautiful work. I mean, just incredible. You can see where Walter Simonson was like.
Oh, he's obsessed. You can see that. I mean,
he's got his face pressed.
A bit more abstract, but you can definitely see, as you say, Simonson's influence. Definitely.
Oh yeah. When he there was a period where it was insane because if you look at some of them, right, it's just straight line art, and then there was some pieces where it was art within art.
Yes.
Right? So he would draw a human figure, but it would be constructed all out of animals.
And so it's quite abstract, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't say it was abstract because the thing is like you could see the figure, right?
Yes.
But once you like really looked in that cross hatching, you would see the animals, and it was just insane. I was just like,
yes,
that is beautiful work.
That's a good call. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's the one nice thing I think they did, they printed it was a little oversized, so it was a little bit larger than what we normally get.
I keep meaning to pick those books up actually.
Yeah, the magnetic press books, I would definitely suggest any of those to anybody. And
yes,
it's funny. This is Larry. He mentions Ozzy. There you go. All right, yeah, there you go. There's my favorite obscure artist, Ozzy Longoria. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just an American guy.
I don't know stuff, I'm afraid.
Yeah. No. He's like he's exactly. He's the obscure guy. All right, cool. I'm gonna pull up a couple of campaigns here. Let's start from scratch. We are gonna start with this. We're gonna start with Geek Girl. All right. Here we go. Sam, do you want me to play the video?
Yeah, you can do it. It's not long, so.
Okay, cool. That's always a good thing.
Those that aren't familiar with Geek Girl is half popular college chick with a cat. She runs a pair of super tech glasses. They give her flying super strength powers, but the initial impact is she's not used to these strength powers and make her sort of klutzy. When she's trying to demonstrate her powers to her friends, she alienates the meaner girls of the clique, knocking drinks over them. But from there, she grows into a heroine, helped and pushed on by her best friend, Sam.
Now, in this new Kickstarter, new readers can jump on as we go inside Riri's head, where she's from, where she's headed. New villain identity. It literally steals her identity.
Nice.
So every video I've seen on Kickstarter up until right now, the person, if they show the person, they're usually sitting still in front of the camera. What was the idea of being running around? Was that a conscious effort, or did it just happen that way?
I don't think I was running around. I think there was some hand movement. Maybe that created an illusion of movement. I was grabbing the comic a bit, so yeah, that was that. But it wasn't massively conscious. No.
All right, cool. Well, walk us through the campaign. I mean, what are we looking at here? This is what issue is this? The third issue?
No. This is issue 11 of the ongoing.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Which is the jump on issue, which is kind of alluded to there in that video, where basically Geek Girl has gone from it girl to genuine superheroine, and now this new villain identity thief comes along and literally steals her identity, and that's the jump on issue. So yeah, this is a good one to come in on. You can get all the previous issues as well, but it's got the deluxe issue 11, which is the same, designing as a good jump on point.
Who's the artist, Sam?
C. Grander from Columbia, who's been on it since the mini. We did a 4-issue miniseries, and then the ongoing, and pretty much all the creative team have been in it since pretty much the start and are into it. And Grander brings, Carlos is his name, but I'm not supposed to call him Carlos. He doesn't like the name Carlos, so he likes to refer to as Grander. Even his wife calls him Grander. He brings a lot to it, like the facial expressions, the body language, like you can see just from that's coming up there. He's the perfect fit for it. And there's a lot of female characters in the book, and they all look distinctive. So yeah, very happy with what Grander does.
Gosh.
Since this is issue 11, do you find that the artwork has improved? Has it stayed consistent? Have you seen little differences between when you first started to now?
Yeah, it's improved. I mean, it was strong from the start. I mean, he'd been doing stuff before this, but I don't know. I think all everything, and this has been commented on reviews, everything is improved. And because obviously I see it every issue, it's not like I've gone from seeing 1 to now seeing 11. It's not, a drastic thing, but I mean, the main thing is I think everyone puts a lot into it. Everyone loves it. And looks forward to what's coming next, and I like to keep it unpredictable. So I think, the creative team, myself included, continue to develop, and to develop on an ongoing series is a nice thing to be able to do.
And do you have an ending in mind for this series, or is it just going to go as long as it takes?
I mean, I've got so many ideas. There's a thing going on that so far has not been sort of in the foreground that will become more and more, which could lead to an end that wouldn't necessarily be the end of Geek Girl, but could be the end of this series. However, I have all these ideas, and as I write the individual issues, I come up with more. So, I mean, I like to keep it unpredictable for myself, so I'm not working to a sort of rigid framework. I like to be able to go in different directions and keep myself on my toes as well as the readers. So it's ongoing is what it is. It's not set to be this amount of issues and then done. It's ongoing, and however ongoing is, we will see.
And how far ahead of you are you on the writing scale? So this is issue 11. What are you writing right now?
Well, I mean, I've finished. So issue 11 and 12 are the new ones on there. The scripting I do at basically the rate that Grander is able to illustrate it. So I've got multiple, threads, plots, Bible and all that kind of stuff, but in terms of the actual scripting, I do it at the rate it needs to be done to get illustrated. I mean, I find way more of my comics time is spent on promos than actually writing. Now I'd like to do that balance be the other way around in an ideal world, but I'm lucky in that I enjoy the promo side. I enjoy putting the Kickstarter together and promoting the Kickstarter, whereas for some people they just want to do the art and that's it. But it's a necessity to promote it, and as I say, it's pretty much almost all aspects involved in running the comic I enjoy, so that's good, because obviously I love making comics, and it's nice to enjoy doing everything that comes with that as well, almost everything.
Nice. Have you ever put out a trade paperback of the series?
Oh yeah, there's 3. As I say, everything's on, and the best link for the Kickstarter, the easy link is geekgirlcomics.com. So you can come in on the jump on issue, you can get everything's on there in terms of the ongoing and the miniseries. There's 3 trades. If you get them digitally, it's quite a good price, really. So it's all there.
All right, cool. I mean, you're 4,600. You've already met your goal. You've exceeded your goal. You got 8 days at 119 backers, so you're doing well. You're doing good. I mean, would you consider this a successful campaign for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's with the thing with Kickstarters, you get the most activity at the start and the end. So until we get to the end, it tends to be in the middle of the campaign that figure doesn't move a lot, but then at the end it can spike. So a lot of what I'm doing at the moment now is I've just put a Facebook event page out for the final week. So a lot of what I'm doing is gearing up for the final week, our final reward, which is a limited variant based on the iconic Ramita Mary Jane Face It Tiger just hit a jackpot panel. that's been in the works, and we're going to be releasing that once we hit the final week. So, yeah, the beginning and the end are a big deal, and we want to keep the people that have followed it interested for the final week. So, as I say, the final week we'll see the final reward. The final week kicks in on Tuesday.
All right, cool, very nice. Listen, you're well on your way. You're doing great. So, very nice.
Thank you.
Let's pull up the next one. Sorry, guys. Here's where Jay usually screams at me and says I should have someone in the background doing this for me.
Tabs.
Maybe you probably should, yeah.
Yeah, but All right, Russ.
Yes.
What do we have here?
This is just my website.
Beautiful.
This is my website. So if you want to sign up for the email list here and find out what's coming in the future, this is the place to do it. All my social media links are here and what have you. If you those are the people that I've worked with. If you just zoom up to the top there, you can click on the Only Death Can Save Us panel on the left there.
It's a really nice website.
Thank you. And the arrows are on the right there. They're just like fine arrows on the right. There you go. No, they're difficult to see. But you can just click on the next one, yeah. So these are some of the pages from book 2, and later on from the original book 1 as well. But you can find all those now on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and places like that. These books, the Only Death Can Save Us books, the 3rd book is going to be in production next year, and they're very much a love letter to Bronze Age Marvel stuff. So if you click back to the home page, you'll be able to see the link for some of the other stuff that I've done. So there's like the Batman.
Some really
magazine.
Nice work.
Thank you. Yeah. There's the Batman magazine and the Doctor Who magazine stuff. So you can quickly have a look at that if you want. So that was from a recent issue. The most recent one I did was I've actually got something I can show you when we finished with the website. The most recent one I did was the Doomsday event that they had, and there are a couple of covers for Batman. The Doomsday event that they had, where I did a 16-page special for that.
Are these the Titan books?
This is for Panini, and they actually did.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they did a kids book, Hero Time, and it was swapped between Spider-Man and Batman.
Nice.
Who's your favorite character to draw?
Oof, that's tricky. Death. There you go.
There you go.
But I actually I'll show you. I've got 2 things to show you once we quit with the website, so you can see some current stuff. Because updating the website it's a constant thing. There was Ben 10. I worked on that 3 or 4 years ago now. I think the whole concept was working with Warner Brothers to make the strip as close to the TV program as possible, and they were really pleased. I was pleased. It was great. Something a little different. I'm actually thinking of doing something similar to that for a kids book that I'm going to be working on next year.
Is that Dormammu?
That's Dormammu.
That's Dormammu.
Very similar. You can have I'll just present these 2. Hold on.
That's very cool.
Here's the first one. So that's the cover to the Doomsday work that I was doing for BBC.
That's really nice.
That's
Gorgeous.
There's a couple more pages in there. You go. There's a nice exploding. There you go. That one's quite a nice page with the Cybermen get their thing.
Nice.
So that worked out really nice. I was really pleased. And the one that I'm on right now, which is kind of a passion project in between other gigs, is Robert E. Howard's the Shadow Kingdom.
Cool.
So Randy Zimmerman has effectively adapted it for comic book, and although it's been done before, this is the first time we feel it's had a true adaptation from the book. So it starts off slow and it ends up in a great crescendo. And I've done about a third of the book now. So I'll just show a couple more.
Would you kickstart that yourself when it's finished?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, definitely. We want to run several books. Robert E. Howard ones, actually, several of those, and we're going to call it Arrow Legends, and they're all public domain stuff. So it's just
that's what I thought. That's very cool. Actually, it looks really nice.
Thank you. It's like, obviously this is a love letter in itself as well. You know, all that Conan stuff I read, and what have you. And obviously I could never touch that stuff, but it's my version. So.
Now the Death Can Save Us. Did you do all the coloring as well?
I did the coloring on that. Yeah, I had some help. I had some flats done, and my daughter helped out actually for a while.
Nice.
But certainly the first book was all me, and the second book I had some help. But things just got crazy in that year. I had some family issues that had to be dealt with, which are still sort of ongoing, but have calmed down now. Illnesses and what have you. And at the same time, I did a year's run on Doctor Who magazine, and then got the year's work on Batman as well. So it's kind of like it all sort of went up in the air. And what I thought I was going to get done by other people didn't get done, and then I ended up having to do it myself at the end anyway. So I like colouring. That colouring for that stuff is very much a sort of a flat sort of. It's like the old colours used to be in the Bronze Age books. You know, like big swathes of colour, making them nice and bright and fun.
Yeah, I stole that.
Except
I
they're
stole
not printed
Daphne's
off register.
Right.
So go ahead.
No, I said I stole Daphne's copy.
Oh, you stole it.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
We're constantly. Listen, she stole my lettering book. You know.
Oh well, yeah. You get something important.
Joel just disappeared. I'm about to pull up his campaign. Joel, come back.
So, having worked on corporate entities and having worked independent, what's the biggest difference that you've seen?
The biggest difference is freedom. It's as simple as that. It's creative freedom. I mean, it's not like I was. I had anyone looking over my shoulder while I was doing anything, and my editor was Jason that I worked with in Panini. That has been the main font of my work. He was never too restrictive. In fact, he wrote a lot of work as well. I got to meet a lot of writers through working on Doctor Who Adventures magazine back in a while ago now. But nobody ever sort of tapped me on the shoulder. There was a little bit of, there were a few changes from the BBC. Again, you've got to get likenesses right when you're doing that kind of corporate stuff. If you're doing things with actors and actresses in, so that's important and it has to be done. But I would say, for instance, on the Batman stuff, for instance, I did some designs for them because they didn't want it to look just like the stuff that they were putting out in the main comics. They talked about maybe a little bit like Ben 10 or somewhere towards the Batman animated series. So I had to come somewhere in between it, which wasn't necessarily a natural style. And then I gave them this kind of Ben 10-y kind of feel, and they went, "Oh no, let's just do something a bit more like the main comics, but don't go too far." So I kind of just did my best with it, and ended up creating a style. I'll show just a quick example of that so that you can see where I was, because obviously my other work is slightly different. But this, where are we? 6 color. But sorry, be 2 minutes cooler. There we go. I'll put that up. Okay. So I did this. I sort of had this style to it where it was kind of had similar effects from some of the animated series. And it wasn't full on, you know, it wasn't full on sort of current DC comics, but it still had some of the essence of it. So from a long answer to your question, sorry, is I would say that it was mainly down to creative freedom. So you couldn't just do whatever you wanted. So for instance, when I did the Only Death Can Save Us stuff, I was like, right, this is going to be like it's going to have simpler lines in it. It's just going to be blocky and fun. And in the first book, I just had a very simple panel layout because I wanted to have that feel of where I was, so I could put this meta feel of like the first book had some 60s and 70s in it, and then the second book was 70s and 80s, and the third book had moved on to a different style. I could run that into the story like it was meta and meant something. Whereas when you're drawing pages for a publisher, that's it. You know, you're restricted to within certain boundaries. And like I say, it wasn't massively restrictive. I could still enjoy myself and have fun with the production, but I would say that is the main difference, that creative restriction.
Very nice.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. That Batman.
Yeah,
Like
it
a
came out.
classic Batman feel.
Yeah, I was hoping for that kind of thing. Yeah, but you know, it really is a process, especially when you're backwards and forwards with editors, and then of course you've got licensors as well. So
yes.
right. So we had Warner Brothers and DC in separate offices, and then you had Universal licensor on top of it, and then you came down to the editor. So it was like backwards and forwards up and down the ladder.
Gotcha. So Joel, Sherlock Holmes and the Empire Builders. What do we? I see you using Zoop.
Yes,
I've seen this. This looks great.
We've used Zoop before for our Tripwire 30th anniversary book last year, so we thought we'd do it again. I mean, there's no reflection on Kickstarter. It's just Zoop is just comics. We thought that because the thing with Kickstarter, there are so many projects on it that although it gets a lot of eyes, stuff can get lost. You know, and Zoop give us quite good sort of like one-to-one support, basically, because it's the two guys that run it. So because it's a smaller operation, you know, it runs pretty well.
All right, cool. So what's the I see you have a Walter Simonson cover?
Yes, we have Walt Simonson and a Mark Chiarello cover.
Nice.
And we have pin-ups from Liam Sharp and Bill Sienkiewicz,
Wow. Sean
Martinborough, Barry Kitson, a guy called Andy Bennett, who's my interior artist. He's a co-creator on the thing. He's phenomenal. So
I love his
It's so cool.
His Muppet sketches are very good, actually. He does headshots. So yeah, I mean, it's an alternate world Sherlock Holmes. I mean, you can play the video if you like. I don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. Let me play this video. Hold on.
Hello and welcome to Baker Street, the fictional home of the world's greatest detective. We thought it would be an appropriate place to kick off our Zoop campaign video for Sherlock Holmes and the Empire Builders.
I've been a huge comic fan since I'm 8 years old, as well as a massive admirer of Sherlock Holmes in print and on the small and big screen. It's the culmination of years of planning and development. This book is just over 20 years in the making. Back around 2000, I began to put together what would become the Empire Builders. Myself and Andy Bennett created 3 short comic stories. Reception to all 3 was very positive, so once we had tested the waters, we decided that now was the time to publish a full-length graphic novel adventure. Sherlock Holmes and the Empire Builders is an alternate world sci-fi epic which sees Holmes lose his dear friend Dr. Watson, who leaves to help Crick unravel the DNA helix. But Watson begins to realise that his employer in the project is one of the country's most unhinged individuals, and Holmes is forced to save the day. The crowdfunding project will fund the first volume. So those who pledge will get a lovely 84-page oversized hardcover with a dust jacket. The book will include the first 64-page instalment, plus character sketches by Andy Bennett, script pages, and a lengthy interview offering insight into the series. A number of exclusive pin-up pages from the likes of Fraser Irving, Sean Martinborough, Dan Panosian, Liam Sharp, Bill Sienkiewicz, and Martin Simmons. We'll also include a cover by veteran illustrator Mark Chiarello, DC's former art director, and the second cover by industry legend Walter Simonson. The purpose of the campaign is to pay these wonderful artists for their work, and their work will also be offered as limited edition prints. The campaign will also include the opportunity to buy pages of Bennett's original art, as well as unique prints created in the style of the world of the Empire Builders. I would like to believe that our project does justice to Conan Doyle's iconic creation while offering something new for readers and fans of Holmes. I am very proud of what we are bringing out. We can't do it without your assistance. Thanks for watching and listening. The game is afoot.
Very nice.
Excellent.
I like that loose style on that artwork.
Yeah, really nice.
So,
Because he's an American artist, but he's got a fairly British sensibility.
Which
which is why we get on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. It's really good.
It was
so when
great.
you're taking on something as iconic and legendary as Sherlock Holmes, do you feel that you have a responsibility, or do you feel you have a weight on your shoulders, or is it like, nah, I'm just going to do my own thing and I'm not going to worry about anybody else has done before me?
Well, I hope I do it justice. I mean, we've been very lucky. We've got very good feedback. We got quotes from Michael Moorcock and Jem Dematic, and Richard Taylor, who runs Peter Jackson's Weta, and also from Kelly Jones. So we've had an amazing response from people. So, you know, I feel very chuffed that we managed to do it. There is still a little bit of a feeling of trepidation, you know, doing it. It's not quite a straight detective story. I mean, it's more of a sci-fi adventure. But I hope we do, you know, Doyle justice. I mean, what I've done is, you know, we've mixed up the real world characters like Oswald Mosley in it, you know, because I thought the juxtaposition between him and Holmes and Watson would be interesting, and, you know, hopefully that's done the trick.
Nice.
I love that whole alternate world thing. I saw that Greyfriars there, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, that was my idea, actually. It's basically it didn't get bombed because it was bombed during the Second World War, I think. So because this is set in like an alternate version of the 1920s. Yeah. And we've got basically the rebels in the group. They're based in the monument, but the monument, instead of having the big flame at the top, has the head of Oswald Mosley, a little bit like the head of Karl Marx in the Highgate Cemetery. So we're playing with history. You know, the king is kept prisoner in the Tower of London. He's become kind of like a sort of crazy, almost like a Mr. Rochester character, sort of locked away. I'm not sure if we get to see him in this story, but, you know, it's been fun to play with history. And, you know, the pin-ups are amazing. I mean, that's Sean Martinbury there on the right, and that's Liam Sharp and Bill Sienkiewicz, and the Andy Bennett piece, which I think is around there as well. We're very lucky. And that's the Martorella one on the left. And the Simonson cover is spectacular.
Just wicked.
There's also almost a Holdaway vibe in there in those pages as well. I think that's
a little bit. I mean, I always thought a bit of Eddie Campbell and a little bit of Holdaway, and it does look like a Vertigo book. I mean, we owe a lot to Vertigo. The story owe quite a bit to Michael Moorcock and to Brian Talbot. Although it's not quite as trippy as something like Luther Arkwright, but, you know, I definitely want to kind of doff my cap to both of those people who've definitely had a huge influence on this series.
No, that's really cool. How many more days do you have left on the campaign?
It finishes on Thursday.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've been pimping it even more. It's been kind of it is mentally. People don't realize how mentally stressful, you know, a campaign actually is. It's physically and mentally quite exhausting, because we had one dropout a few days ago. No, I'm sure you guys have always had this as well. It's just when somebody pulls, it's really bloody annoying. But it's going well. I want it to hit. I'd like it to hit. I mean, we passed our target, but I'd like it to hit 10K by Thursday, which would be amazing. We're kind of getting there, so. You know, I'm waiting on Barry Kitson's final piece, which hopefully I might have, and I'm waiting on 2 more quotes, one from Jeff Loeb and one from Frank Quitely, possibly, which we might get in time. So I'm just constantly reminding people that it's out there. But we've got 15 signed Walt Simonson editions left, and I'd like them to get sold, because it's you know, how often do you get the chance, unless you go to an American show, to actually get a book signed? I mean, it's basically like a tipped-in plate signed by him, and there's one signed by Chiarello as well. And this is a 2-part story. So the second installment will be out next year, and we're looking at Dan Panosian for one of the covers, and we're thinking about someone else for a second cover. So the story's going to be split. Cool. But no, it's been a very exciting project. The first full-length comic thing that I've ever been involved with.
Nice. Now, as far as production goes, is the book done? As far as like
not quite. But...
Oh, okay.
It will be. You know, the artist is reasonably fast. I'm getting through script pages. The aim is to have the book ready for Thought Bubble in November, the middle of November. So we're looking to go to the printers about the middle of September. But I'm used, because I've done the magazine. You know, we finished a 224-page book last year, our 30th anniversary book. So I'm used to pushing stuff through, and I'm designing. I didn't design the logo. Mark Chiarello designed the logo, but I'm putting the rest of the book together. And I'm pretty experienced with the graphic design side of things. So we are making good progress. And the 3 shorts that ran in the Tripwire magazines, they're being weaved into the story.
Cool.
You know, at appropriate places. So.
Right.
Now,
I know we're getting this out because I need something to sell at Thought Bubble. And the thing is, there's so much momentum here that we can't just have all this stuff and then it takes 6 months to come out. So it will be out for November.
Right.
So on the video, it said that the concept was done 20 years ago. How much has the story changed from back then to now?
It hasn't changed radically. I've introduced a couple of new characters. I mean, apart from Holmes, we've got a Gurkha agent called Six, who originally worked for Mosley, and he changes sides. So I had to get a cookery knife reference for Walt Simonson, because if you look at the cover, there's a knife at the bottom. I mean, the composition of his cover is amazing, because you've got the Greyfriars Church, you've got Holmes in a cloak, you've got the kind of the clone army, and you've got the cookery knife all together. I mean, he keeps saying he should do more, just do simpler covers, but he's a sucker for putting stuff together. So I mean, it hasn't changed much. We've got a guy called Franklin Miller. There was a group of, they were kind of like they weren't rebels. They were kind of a street gang called the Mohawks in Regency London. And so this man, whose name is Franklin Miller, is the last of the Mohawks. And so he's there kind of causing trouble for Mosley, and he joins forces with Holmes at some point, because the story opens with him shooting the Mayor of London. Basically, and I wanted to make that a bit like Day of the Jackal. So he basically goes up to the top of this tower and he gets a sniper rifle and he shoots the mayor. And so that's what opens the story, because I wanted to have a really arresting beginning to the story, and I didn't want it to open with the Holmes scene either. And I thought that might be fun to throw people right in at the action, and I wanted to make it quite cinematic, because Andy Bennett's really good at drawing cinematic art, and I think the story lends itself well to a cinematic approach.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it looks gorgeous. I mean,
so it's going to be the DC Black Label format, so it's going to be slightly oversized hardback with the dust jacket. So it's going to be a really nice book when it comes out.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. I mean, you got a Walter Simonson cover, you got a Sherlock cover.
It feels weird to have a Simonson cover, because I read Thor as a kid. I used to borrow them from my brother, and the idea of having a comic, with him on his cover on it, feels quite strange and quite surreal sometimes.
No, it's fantastic. I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you very much.
Yeesh. All right, so you got 4 days now. I don't know how it works with Zoop. I mean, do you have like some of the other platforms? You can go into go into an extended period of ordering. Do you have that availability here, or is it?
I'm not sure. I mean, you can extend the campaign, but I'm not sure if people order it afterwards. I will ask them. I mean, obviously, it's gone really well. I mean, we're currently I think we're 75% over our original target, and hopefully we might get to 100% by Thursday. But I will talk to. I'm not sure. That's a very good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd be quite happy if people want to, grab copies after the campaign ends, but I'm not sure. I've seen other people in Zoop do it. I know that Dan Panosian made his book available for slightly longer. So to answer your question, possibly, but I need to talk to them about that.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I'm sure you feel, the more money you make, the better.
We are offering a regular hardback through Diamond as well at some point, and through Luna, I admit, because we're looking at other kind of revenue streams. Right. And there'll be people that don't always chip in. They don't always use crowdfunding, and there are people who will just order like a regular book. So we feel that if we didn't offer it to them, it's like we're excluding a chunk of the audience. Because as everyone on here knows, that there are people, we have regulars who support us on crowdfunding, and there are others that say, I don't use it. They'd rather just go into their local comic shop and buy it or order it from somewhere. So we don't want to preclude a huge chunk of the audience, because that would be crazy. So.
Yeah. Now, are you looking into, like, now you're using Zoop? Are you looking to maybe also crowdfund on another platform later on, maybe?
Oh, you mean the same book?
Yeah, the same book. Yeah, because sometimes like Zoop will have an audience, Kickstarter, IGG, some of these other platforms, they'll have their own, people that'll enjoy using it. That's what
possibly, but I don't know. I mean, we've done that before. I mean, the danger is to split if you can split the audience,
right?
So I don't know. I mean, we did it for the Tripwire magazine. We did a campaign on Indiegogo, and we did one on Kickstarter. But that was one of the very first campaigns we'd done, so we were kind of finding our feet a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have some copies. I don't know. I mean, I'll give it some thought. I don't know. Possibly.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Having done all three, what's the biggest difference between the Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and Zoop?
Well, obviously with Kickstarter, if you don't get your money, you don't get anything. Right. And then if with Indiegogo, if you don't hit your target, they take a slightly larger cut. I mean, we've used all three of them, and Kickstarter's been fine, and Indiegogo were fine. But I noticed that Kickstarter, there's a certain amount of perks you can put on there, and then I think they stop you. So I mean, the way that it's set up is very regimented. I said Zoop have been really good, and I'm not taking anything away from the other two platforms because our experience with them were absolutely fine. But because Zoop is a very small operation, we deal with Jordan and we deal with Eric on a kind of one-to-one basis. I mean, the only thing that I regret a little bit, and it's just the way that it's set up, is we don't get access to see who's pledged unless they send us, an Excel document.
Gotcha. Whereas
with Kickstarter, you'll get access to the back end, same thing with Indiegogo. So it says X pledged, and it can tell you who it is. And but Zoop have been absolutely fine. As I said, they're a good bunch of people, and they've done some very cool comic projects. They did the Ukraine comics, the charity Ukraine book, and they've done the Michael Lanning thing as well. So I don't know. I'm in contact with Kickstarter. They were saying if you want to ever do anything else. So I've thought about it. I mean, actually, I do a bit of photography as well, and I've thought about doing like a comic creator photography book, and then I might do through Kickstarter because it's not really comics, so it's not really appropriate for Zoop. So a book like that would probably go down quite well on Kickstarter. So I guess it's about suiting yourself. I mean, it's amazing to think that, you can do this stuff because, 5 or 6 years ago, the only option was to try and sell it to a big publisher.
Right.
I mean, we were turned down by 4 or 5 quite large comic publishers.
Well,
for whatever reason, but it's just the model is there, which is fantastic, that you could do it yourself.
Yeah. Now you just have to make a couple 100,000 on your own. You say see, that could have been yours.
That would be nice. Oh yeah, actually, to be quite honest, there is a little bit of that. I'm going to send them the book and go, this is the book you could have had.
Exactly.
I know, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's the market is tough at the moment, so I totally understand that that people can't take chances.
Yeah,
because it's tough, but it is still frustrating. But we're going to have an amazing looking book with some, and the pin-ups are all going to run at the back, so all the add-ons there. So if people get a Walt Simonson cover, they'll get a pin-up section that would include the Chiarello cover, plus the Sean Martinborough, plus the Liam Sharp, plus the Barry Kitson, plus the Andy Bennett, plus the David Hitchcock. So it's going to be an amazing book. I mean, I've tried to make this book the kind of book that I would buy myself if I wasn't writing it.
Yeah,
that's I want it to be a book that people will pick up, and it's one I would, that would appeal to me as well. I want this to be a book I'm proud of. That's going to go on my shelf. I mean, I've got the 30th anniversary. I've got a little mini shelf of books that I've done, and this will sit very nicely next to it. And I'm designing the back cover, and I got 2 ISBN numbers, and I'm probably offering it through Gardeners to the UK bookshops as well. I won't get a huge amount of sales, but it's about other kind of revenue streams and getting it out to other people who might not see it otherwise.
Yeah. Listen, man, you got a beautiful book.
Thank you very much.
I don't see you having any real problems.
Thank you. No, thank you very much. I'm very proud of it, and it's going to be great to see a physical book in my hands in just a few months' time.
All right, cool. I got one last book to show.
Cool.
Here we go, Mr. Mark. Walk us through it real quick, because we've been here before.
It is Designated, a comic book story created 30 years ago. I finally able to publish it this year. It's about 2 warring alien races fighting over a newly discovered power source. The war finds its way to the planet Earth, and those specific humans gain ability as a result. It's originally written as 110 pages. This is the first issue, which is 22.
That's a really nice cover.
Yeah, that's the Russ Braun cover.
That's a great cover, actually.
The inks are done by Peter Palmiotti, which is Jimmy's brother, who's most
I know
famous for
Peter
doing
a little bit, yes.
Aquaman when he got his hand chopped off. And it's lettered by George Medina, who's done Wonder Duck as a friend of the show. We've known him for quite some time as well. And it's black and white. We were trying to get it for color, just could not happen for this time around. But it's that artwork right there. That's 20-year-old artwork. So It holds up to the time. So like I said, when I wrote it back then, full 110 pages. The artwork was done 20 years ago, full 110 pages. So there's not much I could change to it. It is what it is. It was just trying to get it finally out there.
Nice.
Really nice.
Yeah,
I've
seen that cover.
Well. I mean, your stuff looks great in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cover, I remember seeing that some time ago.
Yeah. See, that means I'm doing my job. It's getting out there.
Listen, better late than never, as they say, right?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Doesn't matter.
It looks like a great project.
Yeah, it's weird because, like I said, it took 30 years to finally get it published. So, it sits in the background for a while. It tries, maybe it's going to be made, and then it sits again. And so when it finally came to a position where it actually is going to happen, I had to go back and reread the story.
Yes.
And it held up. So that was the weird thing, because I'm reading it, not remembering half the stuff I wrote. And I was like, why did I do that? And then I keep on reading, like, oh, that's why I did that. So I was actually proud of myself, my past self, of making the book.
Cool. It looks like a great book.
Good stuff.
I think it works well in black and white as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We all love black and white.
Yeah.
Yes.
Black and white.
Now, Mark, when can we expect the second issue?
The second issue, actually, the sales are doing quite well. So it's all, if we do, the sales is doing well, then the second issue gets, because all it's basically, it's paying for the letterer and publishing. That's all really the money.
2053.
All right, the 73 for issue 3. Okay.
So Pete is actually he's been inking page by page, randomly throughout the years. But I told him, hey, let's focus on issue number 2 because he has the whole stack of 110 pages.
Wow.
And unless he's specifically told, let's get it going, he just pulls a random page here and there. So there's some pages of issue 5 that are inked, some pages of issue 4 that are inked. But I'm like, yeah, let's focus on issue number 2 now, because I can see we're on the horizon of getting issue 2 coming out.
Good stuff.
So what was it like breaking up the story? Breaking it up from a graphic novel into a sort of like a, whatever it be, like a 6-part miniseries, I assume.
I wrote it originally as 5 parts. So
cool.
Even though it was intended to be a graphic novel, it was in 5 different chapters.
Cool.
And to promote the book, we actually did a radio play of it. We have like sound effects and stuff. And
That's amazing.
There's a radio play of us doing the show. And it's also on our YouTube page. So we're just trying to get the word out in a different way.
That's very enterprising. I mean, I recorded a video for Holmes. It wasn't brilliant, but with me talking about the script, which I put up on our YouTube channel, but it was pretty basic. It wasn't bad, but it was just, they're trying to find different ways, as you say, to let people know this stuff is out there.
Yeah, so we actually, since I host a radio show, I know tons of creators, and a filmmaker was like, hey, let's try something different. And he actually took the script and adapted it for a radio play. So seeing my work being adapted into a different format was really weird because of constraints. We only had, I think we had like 7 different actors.
Yes.
And we looked at the script and it's 27 different speaking roles. And we're like, there's no way we're going to get 27 different people to do it. So he actually, because of that, he had to change stuff around. And while it kept the main part of the story, there were some differences. And we were focused so much on doing the radio play, like that script in my head is more prevalent than the original script.
Yes.
So when I was going through the book, I was like, hey, this page is missing because we actually had to remove pages. So it's a very weird experience seeing it. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be able to perform it at New York Comic Con.
That sounds fun. I'll be there actually. So
cool.
I'm coming as press. So
I'm there as press also.
Excellent. We'll definitely have to get together.
Yeah.
All right, cool, Mark. Listen, man,
that looks great. That looks like a really cool book.
Yeah.
And the best thing about Crowdfunder is that you press the button, there's no sign up, you get paid immediately. That's all I gotta say about that.
Oh wow!
I didn't know. I met the guy who runs it.
Yeah, David.
Bubble, I think last year, David. But I've not used it. But that sounds interesting. Maybe I'll look into that for another project. I can't think about anything else at the moment. I just want to get this one kind of wrapped up. I mean, it's doing, and I'll be happy when it's done. But I'm so exhausted. I can't think about anything else at the moment.
Yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, that'll definitely do it to you. I think I'm on my 4th campaign this year, and I'm about
this is the 6th one I've done since 2020. And it's just we brought the magazine back in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and it took 6 months to come out. And we changed the cover and we changed a lot of the features, and it was interesting. It was a real learning experience. And each time, like I did some perks for one of them, which I think badges and stickers, and they were stupid ideas because no one really cares about them. It's one of these things you kind of learn what people like.
Yeah.
What people want. People like prints and they like the book.
Right.
And I mean, I know it depends on the subject. Like if it's a comic, and they probably like stuff which is a bit more, out there, a bit more outlandish. But for the stuff that we do, I think they want stuff that's a bit more basic.
Gotcha. I find trading cards works for me.
I haven't done that yet. I thought about it. I was going to do these little kind of like lobby cards for the homes. I've created a fake tube poster, which everyone gets a digital version of. We hit our second stretch goal, which we did with 8,000. So I've done this fake tube poster, which I've designed, which was kind of fun. I took an out of copyright Edwardian photograph, and I basically adapted the tube logo, and I changed the font and the color. So I'm not quite in breach of their copyright, I don't think. So.
Gotcha. Now, when you say tube, you mean your subway?
Yeah, the underground. Yes.
Yeah. No, we were discussing this earlier before you got here.
Sorry.
No. We were discussing the differences between our colloquialisms versus yours, right?
Divided by a common language.
Yeah. Well, there are quite a few, obviously.
Yeah, the right way of saying things in the wrong way.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, the right way.
Exactly. The correct way to say aluminum, right?
No, definitely not.
And advertising. So there it is.
Yeah.
JD, here's one for you, JD. Flan.
Flan.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
When I heard that as a Spanish person, when I heard somebody say flan, I was like, "What the hell is that?"
Right. Yeah. Just for those of you who don't know, it's a type of dessert that we have. It's a very very Spanish thing that we have.
Yes.
It's a word with an I in it. So it's flan.
Yeah. Flan. Like scone as well. Scone and pasta.
It's really easy.
All right, gentlemen, we've made it to the end of the show. Thank you so
Brilliant.
much for being here. You guys were awesome.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. I'm sorry I turned up halfway through, but
no, that's
it worked
fine.
out right in
That's
the
fine.
end.
Next time,
I was making my dinner. So.
No, that's fine.
He was having flan.
Yeah,
Well, see,
you're having
because
fun. There
you're
you
not a
go.
fan of the low low, you only get 1 hour instead of the 2.
There you go.
It's
So
gonna
what was that? So was that Mark? Did you say you weren't at a farm?
I said, yeah.
Anyway, so let's start with Russ. Russ, please, where can everybody find you and your work?
You can find everything you need at russleach.com. You can get links to my books in Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can find out all about my work. You can go to my YouTube channel, Comic Book Black Belt. You can go to my Instagram account and also sign up for my email list. And you can do all that at russleach.com.
There you go. Sam?
GeekGirlComics.com. Geek Girl is available outside of Kickstarter. So if you search for it on anything like Comixology, it's Geek-Girl. But the Kickstarter is what we're pushing, and with the jump on issue 11. So GeekGirlComics.com.
All right, cool. Joel, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Well, I mean, if people go to tripwiremagazine.co.uk, which is the home of the stuff that I do, but if they go to Zoop and search for Sherlock Holmes and the Empire Builders, the Gene or just Sherlock Holmes and the Empire Builders, that's running until Thursday, so people can grab the book and all the different add-ons. We as well as the books, there's assigned scripts as well, and people can get drawn into the next book as well. We've got 3 places for that. If people want to be drawn into the second Sherlock Holmes book, which will be out next year. So yeah, Zoop, Sherlock Holmes, the Empire Builders, or tripwiremagazine.co.uk.
Cool. Glenn?
I wish I had a website, but my last one was hijacked and is now a Japanese porn site with my name on it. So don't go anywhere near that.
Now we have to go.
Are you sure it's hijacked, Glenn? Are you sure you're diversifying into something else?
Right. I mean, there might be
Where
more
all the
revenue.
money is.
Well,
Reset international audience right there.
Well, exactly, yes.
you can get me on Facebook and places like that. You can get me on Amazon, and you can also get me at New Haven Publishing. And I've got a new book out on Tuesday, nothing to do with comics, but this is Manchester United Football Club.
Nice.
You can get that, and you soon you'll be able to get Hatch on there, which is my cartoon character.
Cool.
And you can currently get my book about when I went to see Jack Kirby a couple of times. So
Top book.
go to New Haven, thank you, newhavenpublishing.com for those, and Amazon.
Very nice. Mr. Mark?
All right, easiest way is Google It Came From The Radio. You can go to www.itcamefromtheradio.com. As I said, we are now on WGBB live at 6 p.m. every Sunday Eastern Standard Time. So after this, I'm going to be driving out to the studio to do our show. On our website, you can also find my book, Designated, which I have right here. It is actually done. And what's cool about Crowdfunder is that once the campaign is over, it turns into a store. So that thing is going to be up there for forever. Selling books if you're interested. And we also do a live show courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library in East Meadows, Long Island. That's the second Wednesday of every month. Let's go to www.eastmeadow.info for more information. We are going to have a mentalist. Robin Channing will be our guest at August the 9th at 7 p.m. And we're also on Twitter and Facebook. We have an Instagram, but I haven't used that since before the pandemic.
Nice.
So don't bother with that.
All right, and I'm JD Calderon. You can find me here most Sundays doing this thing with all various guests. I'm also the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles, Tall Tales Online, Facebook, Twitter, and all those different places under JD Calderon. And just remember, everybody, go check those show notes. All of the links to all of these campaigns are in the show notes. Click those links, buy some books, all right? Because all of these books deserve support. So please go out there and get them. And just remember, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take care.